Hello everybody, it's Sephiroth4 for the weekly update. A few things today. First of all, tonight until Tuesday night, I mentioned this last week, tonight until Tuesday night is the Jewish holiday of Shavuos. I feel like it's Pentecost in English. It's the Jewish celebration of the receiving of the Torah. God gave us the Torah at Mount Sinai, and the culmination of the Jewish exodus from Egypt takes place 50 days after the start of Passover. It's like a whole count and everything that we do every night. So that is a 2-day holiday in the U.S. here, and so that starts Sunday night and goes to Tuesday night, so I'm not going to be around for that. So yeah, all the Jewish, friends and followers who watch this, I hope you have a good holiday, and everybody else, I hope you have a good week. But as such, videos this week are going to be VOD uploads. Dirge of Cerberus ended last week. I don't know if people caught or people were busy or whatever, but that's okay. People catch up eventually. I find with Final Fantasy VII stuff, people catch up to the Let's Plays eventually. Like, Crisis Core didn't get most of its viewership till like 3 or 4 years later. There was like a surge in it. Every time there's a Final Fantasy announcement, Final Fantasy VII related announcement, there's a surge. So yeah, the remake took a while also. It's still getting there, but yeah, so Dirge of Cerberus is all completed if you'd like to binge it. Technically there are like extra missions and stuff to do that I have absolutely no desire to, so yeah, I'm probably not going to be doing them. The Let's Play story is complete as is, and that's what I wanted. I don't really want to drag it out with things that are just for memory capsules at this point and not for plot. So yeah. Let's see. I talk about that at the end of in the finale video also. So yeah, Crisis Core is finished. Up next is going to be Super Metroid, as I talked about last week. That's going to start probably next week. Again, since the holiday starts this week, I didn't want to get into preparations for the Let's Play right away. I'd rather just set it. So very luckily, we finished Ocarina of Time Randomizer on stream last week. So there were 5 streams for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to upload... I'm cutting all the videos up, and I'm going to space them out over the course of probably today to Friday, or to a Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday. Just schedule them all and put them in. So it was something like 18 hours total throughout everything. So however that gets cut up between the 6 days, 3 hours a day of VODs, into various episodes. So we'll see how it all goes. I'm still in the process of dividing everything. So yeah, I'll decide later. I was originally thinking of just like 1 VOD a day split up, but that would just be 5. So Saturday would be left out, unless we just want to use Saturday to catch up on everything. I don't know, but nah, I'd rather just space it out. But yeah, so Super Metroid will hopefully start next week. I'm going to later in this week work on that. And last week I was able to record the Trails in the Sky videos for this week, so there's no problem with that. I always have fun technical issues, but this time it just every time I start up Trails in the Sky or Trails in the Sky second chapter, it can never decide if it wants to remember my controller. I use a PlayStation 4 controller hooked in via USB, and it's really like a Russian roulette whether or not I'm going to have tech issues. But yeah, this time it took the cake. I had to uninstall other game drivers that were messing with it, and then you do some other stuff, just that it recognized it as its own controller that could be mapped. It was recognizing the controller, but the inputs were different because it was like, this is Xbox 360 and you cannot remap it. So yeah, that was fun. And then once I finally found a way to map it, I turned it on and the game is just spinning in circles because it had the right stick spin or something. It had I figured it out, but it was like annoying. But like with all the times, like almost every time I start a recording session, I have to troubleshoot it, which drives me insane. If I didn't love the game, I would definitely have stopped the Let's Play because of the tech issues. But it's a testament to how much I'm enjoying Trails in the Sky that I power through it to keep going. I genuinely do love this game. And you'll see that with some of the art for the month. But yeah, so Trails in the Sky and Ocarina of Time Randomizer VODs this week. Streams, not so sure. Definitely not Tuesday night. Maybe Wednesday or Thursday. We'll see. We'll see how the week progresses. Things are getting, again, weird. So I know that, like, I mentioned that we're moving, and you can see by my room that we have not moved yet. The house requires a ton of work. Like, we've been working for the past month on renovations that are necessary because the house was really badly maintained. We knew this was going to happen. We just, there's a difference between knowing what you have to do and getting it done. So, yeah, we're still in the middle of that. So, going through the rest of this month, we're probably not moving till June. Like, we're not actually leaving this house till June, probably. We have a deadline of like the middle of July or something that the people who currently own our house gave us. So, we'll definitely be out by then, but like it keeps getting pushed off because we need to do a lot. And then like stores like IKEA and Lowe's and stuff, they keep on like losing our orders of vital appliances, or like the shipping date goes from like next week to 2 months from now, and it's just like, okay, where are we going to find this now? And all sorts of other things. And we're only working with a very small amount of people because 1/4 of the household here is disabled and cannot work. So it's COVID, so it's like very limited as to who we can get, to help us and stuff. So it's a process, but it's ongoing. But progress is being made. We got a good chunk of the electrical done last week, which is great. And the kitchen is almost ready for the walls to be closed up, I think. And the rooms are painted mostly, and it's almost ready for the carpets to be put down. Once the carpets go down, some of the stuff can start going, and yeah. So it's there's a lot of things hinging on other things that it's like a giant tapestry that's being woven and keeps having to be rewoven every time something comes up, or someone's car breaks down or goes on vacation, or permits have to be filed, and it's a lot of work. Anyway, things that happened this week. So the Runaway Guys Coliseum ended, and there was, including like all the shirt sales, there's something like $435,000 raised, which is unbelievable. I think there's something like 56,000 away from, in total through all the Coliseums, raising $1 million, which is so cool. But yeah, so I did a art for the end of that, which if I show it here, it's just gonna take forever, but it's on Twitter. I'll have 2 art moments in the bottom of the video. One is the completed one of like March to May, and that includes the rest of the Coliseum art, and the next one is a new one starting with this month's Patreon work, so you can look at both of them. Let's see. So yeah, Dirge of Cerberus finished. It was an interesting ending. Getting up to the ending was but the ending itself was pretty good. But I talk about that in the Let's Play. Alright, the lamp thing that Stephen George made was amazing. The bumper. I have that song stuck in my head by the way. Like, that's one of those things that just plays in your head, you know, when your head is empty. But yeah, so this week, this week was mostly not doing anything. I've Dirge of Cerberus recording, streams, and I got my second COVID shot on Thursday. I felt pretty bad later on Thursday. It felt a little better on Friday morning, and my arm is only slightly sore now. And I feel pretty much normal otherwise, so I'm very happy that only lasted a couple days. I was concerned that it would go into the holiday, and I really didn't want that. Yeah, so I got my second shot, Moderna, and in a couple of weeks I will be vaccinated, and I'm really looking forward to that, because there are things that I have been avoiding out of an abundance of caution that now I can do with caution. Yeah, I'm not going to be just going out and, you know, partying, you know, spring break style. But there are things like, you know, going to synagogue that I just wasn't doing because I didn't trust everyone else. But if I'm going to be fully vaccinated, I'm going to, like, I feel safe enough going to synagogue for prayer, you know, and with a mask on, and being fully vaccinated, that I won't get sick in that way, and I can actually, you know, do the religious things properly, in their own ways for the first time since last March. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. Let's see. What else? Anything else happened this week? I got a thing to talk about at the end, but so let's see. So one thing, I got a commission drawing of my OC Clara from Krizeros, and I love her. Make this a little brighter. But yeah, but look at that. So I haven't gotten a commission drawing of her in a while, but yeah, he did like a sketch drawing as part of like a, you know, a sketch stream thing, and I asked to commission a full color thing, and I love it. I can't get over this. I really do love it. Two things that I did were the first two Patreon pieces of the month. The first was Sherazard Harvey from Legend of Heroes series, specifically her Trails in the Sky look. I really enjoyed this. I spent a bit too much time on it, as per usual. But yeah, she is one of my favorite characters in the Trails series, so I'm very happy with that. The other was interesting in terms of my experience, but it was the patron's friend Dawn as a like more monstrous-y mermaid for Mermaid. So this is what I came up with. I don't obviously draw the fish too much. Like I've drawn Mifa and Sidon, and that's about it. But this was kind of like a combination of a bunch of different references. There's a little Undine in there from Undertale and some other stuff, and based on the person's actual like hairstyles and the earring there and things. But I really like how it came out. The body coloring was absolutely like 90% of the time that took up, because again, no idea what I'm doing, and the types of like monster people references on the internet are so incredibly varied. Like a lot of people like to go for realism after a certain type of fish. Like there's a lot of like people that go for like koi color schemes, which looks really nice. I tried going with like a flesh tone originally, but that made them look a little too naked, and I don't want that. because they're not human, they're mer person. So eventually I went with that color scheme, and I think it looks nice, and they liked it, so that's the important thing. But yeah, it was very interesting. So those are the first 2, and we got another 4 coming up. I wanted to get those done at least. Excuse me. Before the COVID shot really hit me, just so that I wouldn't fall behind this week in case I was knocked out for an extended period of time. Because I know like Stephen George was out for like a week, but he was also in the middle of Coliseum preparation, so like that was mixing in with everything. I think he also got Pfizer in not Moderna, but anyway, yeah. So I'm just happy I got those 2 done, and I got a bunch more, and hopefully that'll be, after the holiday, it's smooth sailing there. Let's see. Anything else happened this week? Second jab. Got into a big conversation with a bunch of people about MagFest, and I really miss MagFest. Seriously, like having this over here, MagFest thing, like all the MagFest things that people have signed, there's an entire wall there. I love looking at that and being like, yeah, I miss those people. Good people. Fun people. I miss them. It's just nice. It's nice. And we got to, just had a big talk about MagFest. And one reason why I just really miss it is that like every year was a chance to connect with different people that I'm becoming more friendly with. A lot of people I really had my first interactions with at MagFest, mainly asking them to sign a thing. And then like over the course of the year, not preceding, the subsequent year, there's a different word I'm looking for. I got to know them more with the internet because we broke the ice there. So not having that chance since 2000 hurts. But I say this a bunch, but I feel like I'm more in my element at MagFest, that I can be more of a real presence. I'm sure a lot of people feel that way, but like a lot of people are very introverted in that they don't want to go out. Like they prefer interacting online. It's safer, it's more controlled, and I understand that, and I feel that a lot in a lot of ways. But on the internet, when you're more anonymous, it also feels less personal, and the person that you're talking to, you can't see them, you can't like perceive them as they are. You perceive whatever they're showing you, which again is good on a safety standpoint because they can control the interaction, but it also makes a barrier between you two. So if you've seen somebody in person, there's still that barrier. They can still choose to show you what they want in a still safe, controlled setting, but they can see you in how you want to present yourself, and in a more real way, and like not that they think that, oh, this is just a persona the person's doing. Like you can actually see that, oh, here this person is actively in a physical setting, not trying to kill me or do things or whatever, and they're actually like chill person. I'm not talking about myself specifically, I'm just saying that like my experience at MagFest. I'm like, oh, this person is either not like different than online, but like my perception of them has changed because I can see them interacting in a real setting. And not just words, but like facial tones and actions and group, interactions and stuff. So I just like conventions and MagFest in particular for that, and I very miss its presence in particularly helping me break the ice with people. So yeah, I very much look forward to the next convention we can go to safely. Let's see. And yeah, so the last thing I really want to talk about here is blowing my nose. No. Is I think I've talked about this before also. The way we say things. And this is, I guess, more soapboxy, and I do apologize for that. There's a lot of things that happen in this world that are very emotionally charged, very politically charged, very just charged in general. Just there's a lot going on, and the discourse tends to skew toward people making bombastic, inflammatory statements because that's the way that you grab somebody's emotions. And when you grab somebody's emotions, you can create a movement. I'm being very vague here on purpose because I don't want to limit this to just current political events or world events. By using strong language, you can evoke a strong response. However, if you don't watch what you say, that strong language can evoke the wrong response. It can turn something from a emotional pull to a more visceral malice type of response, and completely distort the message that you're saying. When you're trying to make a point, or you're trying to do something to show empathy, one of the most important things is to make sure that you say it in a way that you're not being hurtful, and that your intent is to show people the point that you're making without driving them away. Otherwise, you're just if you say things in a way that are just bombastic and galvanizing, then all that it does is it forms an echo chamber around you. You just talk to the people around you, and then all the people that you're trying to convince will just move in the opposite direction because they don't want to hear it. They don't want to be attacked. People don't like being attacked. To put it a better way with what I said here, a vital part of discourse, I put this on Twitter, is making sure you make it in a way that people accept and is not hurtful, so as to foster understanding and empathy with those you are trying to convince instead of visceral opposite reactions. That's a better way of saying it. There's a lot going on right now in the world, and there's a lot of people that I've seen, whether knowing or unknowing, tweeting and retweeting really, really hurtful things that I don't think they think is hurtful, because they think that they're saying the right thing, but could be worded so much better in a way that is not using things like dog whistles or tropes or things that are I mean, like, I've seen with like other things, like people pointing out like, hey, you can't just say something like this because this actually means X, Y, and Z, and sure, you don't mean it this way, but it's used this way. And a lot of, like, it's with every situation. You have to think about what you say, because a lot of the things that people say are incredibly, incredibly hurtful, or used in the wrong way by the wrong people, and it's entirely not your fault, but just terms and phrases and things, and this is in every situation in life again, but you know, there's a lot that goes, there's a lot you have to think about, is what I'm trying to say. And when you use a lot of these phrases that the people involved understand to mean something completely different than what you mean, what it does is that instead of them listening to your point, they assume that you're making a different point and they go in the opposite direction. So it's up to us to, when we say things, we make statements that we believe are important, and that are important. You know, not just saying that you think that it's important, but when we make statements that are important, or, you know, join causes that are important, that we do so in an inclusive way and not an exclusive way, in a way that will bring us to somewhere that we want to go, and not things that are to drive people away or to cause further problems, or for our own self-satisfaction. You know, when we say something and it's not really to have any purpose, but it's because we're angry or something and we want to yell, and which, again, it's important to, sometimes you just have to yell into a pillow, but every situation requires us as human beings to think about the things that we say and do when we are in a wider audience, and even when we're talking to ourselves, honestly. Like, it does no good to be a outwardly good person if you're not an inwardly good person. If you don't, you know, do an introspection on the things that you say to yourself, even, because what is in your heart will eventually reflect in what you do. And we have to make sure that the things that we say aren't attaching ourselves to malice and hatred, or the things that we say or you know, retweet or reblog or whatever aren't said by people who have those intents. Like, there's so many movements that have such good ideals, but are led or have the voices of horrible people, where I know in my heart of hearts that in this world of almost 8 billion people now, is it, that there are people out there that we can give a voice to that aren't bad people. Like, that, you know, we don't have to settle for the people who are say good things but do bad things. Like, say things well but do bad things. You know, we don't have to settle for that, and empower them. And, you know, part of the internet is the ability to empower just about anybody if we try. So, you know, by empowering the people that say the right things but with the wrong intentions, you know, we are making a statement that we support these people and their wrong intentions. And even if we don't, and, you know, you can, you know, we can work so much harder to make environments a more, I don't know, safer environments. I don't want to say safe space, because that has its own connotations at this point, but a safer environment for the people around us in terms of empathy, in terms of how we say things, in terms of who we are amplifying. And it's easy to do research on people, or to just, you know, if you find someone that's saying a good thing, but they also say bad things, then, you know, you just say the good thing without amplifying them, you know? There's so much. And again, I know there are people that get so angry at me for being vague, and I apologize. I'm being vague on purpose, because this isn't applicable to one world situation. It's applicable to our lives in general. The way we say things about, you know, politics, or about, you know, the the things that people go through with, mental struggles or physical struggles, or even video games, our video game discourse, where, you want to make a point, and, that Onion article, like, heartbreaking, worst person just made a good point, things like that, you don't have to amplify the bad voices, and you don't have to amplify the hurtful ways of thinking. And if your point can't be made without using hurtful language, then you have to try to rethink your point, because it's either you or it's the point that's wrong. And it's something that I've had to do, and I have had to make a lot of changes in my life over the years and ways of thinking, because there's sometimes where I stop myself, I'm like, this isn't good. Like, this is objectively not a good way to think. Or, like, I really shouldn't be thinking this about X, Y, and Z. Something stuck away up my nose. And, it's incumbent on us, on people, and especially on denizens of the internet, to make sure that the things we're saying are saying the right things, and educated on what we're saying, and even if you're making a statement that's generalized to not need an entire education on the subject, you're saying, like, hey, I think that we shouldn't kill people. That's a good statement. That doesn't require knowledge of a situation. That's a good bold statement saying, I think that we shouldn't kill people, because it applies very many places. But if you couch it in terms of, adding in pejoratives and labels and other things, you have to understand where those pejoratives and labels and everything else come from, who it's used by, and how it's used, because there's always history. And when you're jumping into world events, you don't understand the history from a subjective perspective. You can see it objectively as a student or as someone who does their research, but you don't see it as a person of that minority or religion or whatever, unless you are, in which case you have a more informed opinion, probably. But you don't have the cultural history necessarily to back it up and understand what you're saying. And so it's always important to keep your eyes and ears open. It's important to make sure that you change your opinion if you're presented with new facts. It's important, and I'm saying this for myself too. It's important to admit when you're wrong, or admit that you've said something bad. And it's important to just try in your general life to say things in a way that foster empathy and not opposition, because that's, in my opinion anyway, that's the way that you change minds. People don't change mind when you start calling them things. They dig in. That's really, I found, at least in my experience, I found that when you start calling people names, it's for your own self-gratification, that I'm not one of you, you dirty gunkies. That's just a way to make yourself feel better. But if you try to change people's outlook by more of a understanding or kinder words, it's a lot easier to come to some sort of understanding. But again, that's my personal philosophy. I will not say that is the correct philosophy objectively. That is what works in my life. It might not work in your lives, and I understand that, and that's perfectly acceptable. I just I know that people in general just are unaware when exposed to, events outside of their culture. And I mean, we've all seen this. When you're exposed to events outside of your culture or outside of your experience, it becomes a lot easier to say or do something hurtful. And it's just very important to maintain an awareness of it, and maintain an open mind when presented with things, and say to yourself, when you are saying something or amplifying a voice, what is my purpose in this? Is my purpose to make me feel better? Is my purpose to try to evoke change? Or is my purpose to try to change other people's minds? And, who am I evoking in order to do so? And, it's just, it's important, I think. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you thinking about it, hopefully. If it's not something that you want to think about, that is your prerogative, I understand. If you think that your mode of thinking is better for yourself, I understand. I'm just speaking aloud in a soapbox format. I'm speaking aloud the ways that I think. It tends to make me a fence sitter, and I understand that, and sometimes that's not what is needed in a situation. But it's, even if you're not going to try to be equitable in how you say things, at least think about the specific things that you do say in terms of who might be listening. Because there's always somebody. When you speak on the internet, there's always somebody listening. And you have to always be on the lookout to make sure that you are not part of the problem. But yeah, thank you again. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody who does, their attempts to either, avoid being part of the problem, or to change, if you find that you are accidentally doing something, or at least the people, that even if you think about it, and if you say to yourself, well, I think what I'm doing is correct, but if you at least take that step to think about it, you're much better than a vast majority of people, in terms of thought. Like, taking that one step to even question yourself is a huge step, and I appreciate you immensely. I'm not asking you to change your minds on the stances that you have in anything. I'm just asking you to make sure that you think about it. Think about the way that you present things. Not what you're presenting, but the way that you are presenting it. I really appreciate you. I hope you have a fantastic week. Thank you for listening. I again, you don't have to listen. You can tune me out, you can disagree with me, and that's perfectly fine. But I do thank you for listening. And I thank you for thinking about the things that you do. And bye, everybody. Bye-bye.